The massive hall on Centaurus Prime buzzed with voices. Over 300 alien species sat in the curved seats of the Galactic Council chamber. Bright lights shone down on the polished floor. This was where the most important decisions in the galaxy were made. In the center of the room stood Ambassador Xylov. His body looked like it was made of blue crystal, with sharp edges that caught the light. When he moved, a soft clicking sound filled the air. He raised his 4 arms for silence, and the room grew quiet. "Today we bring a motion that has never been proposed before," said Xylov. His words came through a small device that changed his musical sounds into words everyone could understand. "We ask that humans from planet Earth be banned from all war, fighting, and military action in Council space." The room exploded with noise. Some aliens jumped up from their seats. Others changed colors or released scents of surprise. In the Earth section, Ambassador Joe Russell sat very still. His gray suit looked plain compared to the colorful aliens around him. Only the tight line of his mouth showed his anger. Next to him, his assistant Kathy Brown wrote quickly on her tablet, her brown eyes flashing with outrage every few seconds. "This is crazy," she whispered. "We've only been part of the Council for 40 years. This was true. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community. Earth had built its first colony on another planet just 20 years ago. The human space fleet was small compared to races that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. Ambassador Russell slowly stood up. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a calm face that hid his thoughts well. "May I ask why?" His deep voice carried through the chamber without a translator. "What have we done to deserve this?" The room fell silent. All eyes, tentacles, and sensory organs turned toward Xylov. The crystal alien's body changed color slightly, turning more purple than blue. "Because your species fights in ways that disturb the balance of power. You do not follow the normal rules of war. You do not act as a reasonable species should act when fighting." Xylov's voice grew louder. "You are dangerous. You are unpredictable. And most concerning, you win battles you should lose." High above in the viewing area, Admiral Susan Hayes of the Earth Space Forces watched carefully. Her weathered face showed nothing, but her mind raced with thoughts. She had fought in 3 space battles against various threats. She knew exactly why the aliens feared human tactics. Without looking down, she pressed a button on her wrist device. A message went out to Earth Space Forces headquarters light years away. "Start Plan D. The Council is afraid of us." She looked across the chamber where representatives from the Draconian Empire sat watching with their reptile eyes. They seemed pleased by this turn of events. The Arcturians, beings made of pure mathematical energy, pulsed with bright patterns that suggested deep concern. "Evidence will be presented," continued Xylov. "We will show recordings of human combat actions. We will hear testimony from species who have fought alongside humans. By the end, you will understand why this motion is necessary for the safety of all." Ambassador Russell slowly sat down. He leaned toward Kathy and whispered, "Get me everything we have on Xylov's species. This isn't about safety. Something else is happening here." The first day of what would become a galaxy-changing hearing had begun. For 3 full days, the Council watched and listened as aliens came forward to talk about humans in war. The huge screens in the chamber showed battle after battle where humans had fought in space. General Krav stomped to the center of the room. He looked like a giant bull walking on 2 legs, with thick brown fur and curved horns that gleamed under the lights. His deep voice rumbled through the chamber. "I will show you why humans scare us," he said, pointing a clawed finger at the Earth delegation. "Play the recording from the Proxima Centauri battle." The screens lit up with images of space. A single human ship, the Earth Vessel Defender, floated among the stars. 4 much larger ships surrounded it. "That human ship had 40 crew members," said Krav. "Our 4 cruisers had over 1,200 warriors combined." The human ship was damaged. They had no escape route. Any normal species would surrender. The room watched as the human ship suddenly fired its engines and flew straight toward a field of space debris. The 4 bull alien ships followed. What happened next still gives me nightmares, Krav admitted. On screen, the human ship seemed to blink out of existence, then reappear behind one of the pursuing cruisers. A flash of blue light struck the cruiser's engines. Before anyone could react, the human ship disappeared again, then showed up behind a second cruiser. They used jump technology they borrowed from the Arcturians, explained Krav. But they changed it in ways the Arcturians never thought possible. They made short jumps in the middle of battle, something we all believed was suicide. The recording showed the human ship taking down all 4 cruisers in less than 10 minutes. When we asked their captain Liam Rogers why they took such risks, he smiled and said they were just warming up. They were having fun. Krav's voice rose in disbelief. More aliens came forward with stories. A fish-like creature with shimmering scales described how a single human advisor named Jack Wilson had completely changed the outcome of a losing battle for their people. A tall, tree-like alien told how human diplomat Nancy Baker had tricked 2 warring factions into joining forces against a threat she had mostly made up. Ambassador Russell's face remained calm, but his eyes narrowed slightly with each new story. Kathy's fingers flew across her tablet, sometimes shaking her head in disbelief. "There's a pattern," she whispered to Russell. "They're only showing battles where we were creative. They're leaving out all the normal fights." A swirling cloud of purple gas floated to the center of the chamber. This was Ambassador Zorn of the Andromean Collective, a species made of intelligent gas. "We have studied humans in 57 conflicts." Zorn's voice came from a speaker at the base of its containment field. "They do not follow any logical battle plan. When they should retreat, they attack. When they should surrender, they find impossible solutions." The gas cloud pulsed brighter. "Most troubling of all, they become more effective when the situation becomes more desperate. And they seem to enjoy being challenged." In the viewing gallery, Admiral Hayes smiled slightly. "They're describing exactly why we win," she murmured to herself. "And they don't even realize it." Ambassador Russell stood up. "May I speak?" he asked. The room fell silent, waiting to hear how humans would defend their strange ways of war. Ambassador Russell walked slowly to the center of the chamber. All eyes in the room watched him. Unlike the aliens who had spoken before, he didn't seem angry or excited. He looked calm and thoughtful. "Thank you for letting me speak," he said, his voice clear and steady. "You have accused humans of being too good at fighting. You say we don't follow the rules of war. You say we refuse to give up when we should." He paused and looked around the room. "These are not crimes. These are the traits that helped us survive on a planet that tried to kill us every day of our history." Russell touched a control panel, and the big screens changed to show images of Earth. They saw huge storms with winds that could flatten buildings. They saw giant waves crashing onto shores. They saw animals with sharp teeth and claws. "Earth is what you would call a death world," Russell explained. "Our gravity is stronger than most of your home planets. Our weather can kill us in hundreds of ways. Our planet has predators that would hunt your species for sport." He showed more images: humans climbing mountains, diving in deep oceans, crossing burning deserts. "We didn't become who we are because we wanted to scare you. We became this way because we had to survive. Our history taught us that giving up means death." In the viewing gallery, Admiral Hayes nodded slightly. She had grown up in a small town that was hit by terrible floods every few years. Her family never gave up. They rebuilt each time. That was the human way. Russell showed a new set of images. Humans working with aliens, building space stations together, trading goods. "We have never started a fight with any council species," he said firmly. "We have only defended ourselves or helped our allies when they asked us. If our ways seem strange to you, remember where we came from." The crystal alien, Psyloph, stepped forward. "Your history explains your behavior, but it does not make it less dangerous. A weapon is still a weapon, even if it was created by necessity. Russell nodded. That's fair. But ask yourselves this. When the Council faced enemies who wouldn't follow your rules of war, who did you call for help? The room grew quiet. Everyone knew the answer. They had called the humans. Kathy watched from her seat, proud of how her boss was handling this impossible situation. She noticed how many of the aliens seemed thoughtful now. Maybe they were starting to understand. In the back of the chamber, a new group of aliens entered quietly. These were draconians, reptile-like beings with scales that changed color with their mood. Their scales now showed dark purple, a sign of worry. One of the draconians touched a communication device on her wrist, sending a message to someone. Her eyes never left Ambassador Russell as he continued to speak. "We don't want to frighten you," Russell said. "We want to work with you. Yes, we fight differently. Yes, we take risks you find strange. But we do it to protect life, your lives as well as ours." He touched the control panel again, showing a final image, a human child and an alien child playing together on a colony world. This is what we fight for. Not glory, not territory, but a future where all our species can live together in peace. As Russell returned to his seat, Admiral Hayes received an urgent message on her device. Her face grew serious as she read it. Something was happening at the edge of Council space, something that might prove, very soon, why the galaxy needed humans and their strange ways of war. The Council had been debating for 2 days when everything changed. The loud alarm sounded throughout the chamber. The huge screen at the center of the room flashed red. The face of a reptile-like alien appeared on screen. She had green scales with blue stripes and yellow eyes with vertical pupils. This was Commander Vex of the Draconian Defense Fleet. Her scales were pulsing with dark colors showing great stress. "Council members," she said, her voice tense, "we have an emergency. The Hegemony fleet has crossed into our space in Sector 7. This is not a small attack. This is a full invasion force." The room erupted into chaos. Aliens jumped from their seats, shouting questions and demands. Some changed colors in fear. Others released scents of alarm. The Hegemony was a group of aggressive alien species who had refused to join the Galactic Council. For years, they had made small attacks on the edges of Council space, but they had never dared to launch a major invasion. "How many ships?" asked the Centaurian Prime Minister, a tall blue humanoid with 4 arms. "Over 300 vessels," replied Commander Vex, "including 47 dreadnoughts, their biggest warships. They have already destroyed our outpost in the TOS-CD system." The strategic display showed a map of the galaxy. Red arrows marked the path of the Hegemony fleet. They were heading straight for Centaurus Prime, the very planet where the Council was meeting. In the sudden silence that followed, everyone turned to look at the human delegation. Ambassador Xyloph's crystal body flashed with dark colors. "How convenient," he said, his voice cold. "Just as we discuss humans and war, a major attack happens. Are you suggesting Earth is working with the Hegemony?" Ambassador Russell asked quietly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were hard. Before Xyloph could answer, Admiral Hayes stepped forward. She was an older woman with short gray hair and the confident posture of someone who had seen many battles. "The Earth Space Forces have 5 battle groups within range of the Hegemony advance," she said. "We offer our help to the Council." The room grew quiet again. Everyone understood what this meant. The humans were offering to fight, exactly what the Council had been trying to prevent. The Arcturian ambassador, a being that looked like a column of blue light in the shape of a human, moved forward. "This is exactly what we feared. Human military action will only make things worse." "With respect," Admiral Hayes replied, "things are already worse. The Hegemony is coming with 300 ships. The question isn't whether there will be a fight. The question is whether you want to win or lose." Ambassador Russell looked at the strategic display. He knew that Hayes was right. The Hegemony ships were moving fast. The Council's defense fleet was still gathering. They would be outnumbered by at least 3-1. "We need to decide now," Russell said. "Politics can wait. This is about survival." In the back of the room, a young aide rushed up to Ambassador Xyloff and whispered something. The crystal alien's color changed dramatically to a deep purple, a sign of shock. "We have just received word," Xyloff announced to the Council. "The hegemony fleet has changed course slightly. They are now targeting worlds with high human populations first." The room fell silent once more. "It seems," Russell said quietly, "that keeping humans out of war may no longer be an option." The emergency council meeting ran for hours. Reports kept coming in about the hegemony fleet pushing deeper into council space. 2 draconian colonies had already fallen. 1 Rigelian mining outpost had sent out a distress call, then gone silent. The council leaders argued loudly about what to do. Some wanted to run and hide. Others wanted to fight but couldn't agree on how. "We have principles," Ambassador Xyloff insisted, his crystal body flashing with stubborn blue light. "If we let humans fight our battles, what does that say about us?" Ambassador Russell stood up, his patience finally wearing thin. "Principles are nice when you're safe," he said. "Ask the people in the hegemony's path if they care more about your principles or their lives." The Centaurian Prime Minister raised all 4 of his hands for silence. "We must vote now," he announced. "The question is simple. Do we accept human help against the hegemony invasion?" The voting process began. Each species had 1 vote. Some voted quickly. Others took time to discuss among themselves. Many species didn't vote at all, too afraid to pick a side. Admiral Hayes watched from the gallery, her face tense. She had already put Earth's 5 battle groups on high alert. They were ready to move as soon as the vote finished. But every minute of delay meant more lives lost to the hegemony attack. "This is taking too long," she whispered to her aide, Captain Peter Davis. "The hegemony won't wait for them to finish voting." Davis nodded. "Politicians talk. Soldiers die. Some things never change, even across the galaxy." Finally, the votes were counted. By a very small margin, the Council voted to accept human military help. Admiral Hayes immediately received emergency authority to work with the Council's military command. As the meeting ended, Hayes found Captain Steve Morris, her top strategy officer. Morris was a young man with a reputation for thinking outside the box, exactly what they needed now. "The Council just gave us permission to show them exactly why they're afraid of us," Hayes said quietly. "Let's not disappoint them. Prepare Operation Glass Shield." "Yes, Admiral," Morris replied with a slight smile. "The hegemony has no idea what they've walked into." Meanwhile, on the other side of the chamber, Ambassador Xyloff approached Russell. "You got what you wanted," the crystal alien said. "I hope you understand what this means. Once humans are involved in galactic warfare, everything will change." Russell looked Xyloff directly in his glowing eyes. "You're right about one thing. Everything will change, but not the way you think." In a quiet corner, Kathy Brown was speaking with an Arcturian, a being made of blue light that constantly shifted and changed shape. "I still don't understand why your admiral is so confident," the Arcturian said, its voice coming from a small translator device. "The Council forces are outnumbered. The hegemony has better weapons. Logic says you cannot win." Kathy smiled. "That's the point you're all missing. Humans don't believe in no-win situations." On the main screen, the strategic display updated. The hegemony fleet had destroyed another outpost. They were now just 3 days away from reaching Centaurus Prime. "Time to go," Admiral Hayes said, standing up straight. "Captain Morris, send the order to all Earth ships. Operation Glass Shield is now active. And send a message to Earth. The gloves are coming off." As Hayes left the chamber, many alien eyes followed her. Some with hope, others with fear. But all wondered the same thing. What were the humans planning to do? The Council's war room fell silent as Admiral Hayes explained the human battle plan. The alien military leaders stared at her in disbelief. "You want to use your 5 battle groups to do what?" asked Fleet Commander Zorax of the Pellerin forces. His feathered head crest rose up in alarm. "To lose," Hayes said calmly. "To lose in a way that looks real and convincing." On the large hologram table in the center of the room, the human ships appeared as small blue dots. They were arranged in a formation that made no sense. Some ships were all alone. Others were bunched too close together. "The hegemony has studied how council species fight for hundreds of years," explained Captain Morris as he pointed to different parts of the display. "But they've only seen humans in a few battles. They don't understand how we think. When they see our ships positioned this way, they'll think we're disorganized and panicking," Hayes continued. "They'll rush in to finish us off quickly." "This is madness," whispered the Arcturian commander, its blue light pulsing with concern. Hayes ignored the comment and kept explaining. "Meanwhile, we've studied the hegemony ships closely. Their engines make a special energy pattern right before they jump to faster than light speed. We can predict where they'll appear. Which means," Morris added with a small smile, "we can be waiting for them. With mines." Over the next 3 days, the human plan unfolded exactly as Hayes had described. The 5 human battle groups fought in ways that confused everyone watching. Sometimes they retreated when they had the advantage. Other times they charged straight at much larger enemy ships. The hegemony commanders grew more confident with each passing hour. In the council war room, the alien leaders watched the battles with growing concern. The humans were losing ships. The hegemony was pushing forward faster than expected. "Your plan isn't working," Ambassador Xyloff said to Hayes. "You're sacrificing your own people for nothing." Hayes checked her data pad and smiled slightly. "It's working perfectly. The hegemony thinks they've figured us out. They think we're easy to beat." On the main display, the human ships suddenly broke formation and scattered in all directions. It looked like a complete panic. The hegemony fleet, sensing final victory, raced after them. "Now," Hayes said quietly into her communication device. The hegemony ships jumped to light speed, planning to catch the fleeing humans. Instead, they jumped directly into the largest minefield ever created in council space. The war room erupted in shocked gasps as the display lit up with explosion after explosion. Nearly 60% of the hegemony fleet was destroyed or disabled in the first few minutes. The rest found themselves caught between the human ships, which had suddenly stopped running and regrouped, and the arriving council fleet. The battle was over in hours. The hegemony invasion force was completely destroyed. In the council war room, the alien commander stared at Hayes in stunned silence. She had predicted exactly how the enemy would think and act. She had used their confidence against them. She had made them destroy themselves. "This," Hayes said quietly to the Centaurian Prime Minister, "is why you fear us. We don't fight by anyone's rules but our own." As news of the victory spread, Ambassador Russell received a message on his device. It was from Earth. "Operation Glass Shield successful. Phase 1 complete." Russell looked up at the celebration around him and wondered if the aliens truly understood what had just happened. Humans hadn't just saved the Council. They had changed galactic warfare forever. 1 week after the battle, the Galactic Council met again. The mood was very different now. The earlier anger toward humans had changed into an uneasy respect. Ambassador Xyloth walked to the center of the chamber. His crystal body was now a calm blue color. "In light of recent events," Xyloth announced, "we withdraw our motion to ban humans from military operations." A surprised murmur ran through the room. No one had expected this. Instead, Xyloth continued, "We propose something new. The human military advisors officially join the Council's defense forces with proper oversight." Ambassador Russell kept his face neutral, but inside he was surprised. This was better than he had hoped for. The debate that followed was short. Everyone had seen how effective humans were in battle. The question now was how to work with humans while addressing concerns about their unpredictable methods. The final vote created the Human Military Advisory Commission. Earth would provide strategy and tactics to the Council's combined forces. Council representatives would make sure these strategies stayed within rules that all member species could accept. As the meeting ended, Admiral Hayes walked over to Ambassador Russell. "So they want to keep us in a box, but it's a bigger box than before," she said with a small smile. Russell nodded. "It's a start. They're beginning to understand us." "Not really," Hayes replied. "They think they're controlling us by giving us a seat at the table. They don't realize that's all we ever wanted." In the viewing gallery, Kathy was speaking with an Arcturian named Theorem. "I still don't understand," Theorem said through its translator. "Your admiral deliberately put ships and crews in danger to create the illusion of defeat. How could she make such a terrible choice?" Kathy smiled sadly. "That's what the Council doesn't understand about us. Every ship that was placed in a dangerous position was crewed entirely by volunteers who knew the risks. No human commander would ever order someone to die. We simply ask for volunteers. And you get them." Theorem's blue light pulsed with confusion. "Always," Kathy replied. "That's the final piece of the puzzle your people haven't figured out about us. The Galactic Council wanted to keep humans out of war because they feared what we can do. But what truly scares them isn't our tactics or our technology." She looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's clear dome. "What scares them is our willingness to sacrifice for each other and for what we believe in. That's why they'll never truly understand us, and why they'll always need us." In Earth's embassy on Centaurus Prime, Admiral Hayes received a secure message from Earth Space Force's headquarters. Operation Glass Shield successful. Human integration into Council defense structure achieved. Phase 2 authorization requested. Hayes read the message and sent a simple reply. "Not yet. Let them get used to us first. We have time." The human integration into the galactic community had begun, not through conquest or dominance, but through the very same determination and unpredictability that had made the Council fear them in the first place. The Galactic Council had declared "keep humans out of war" as a way to protect the galaxy. They had failed to understand that humans were already changing how the galaxy thought about war itself, and perhaps in time, they might help the Council discover something even more valuable: a uniquely human path to peace.